Jada's lying, and I have the timeline to prove it. Jada is currently on her Pay Attention to Me tour, and she is making all these wild claims, including that Tupac proposed to her while he was at Rikers. Really? The math isn't mathing, so let's take a look. Tupac was convicted of sexual assault charges on February 8th, 1995. From there, he was sent to Rikers Prison, only to be transferred less than a month later to Clinton Correctional Facility. And she specifically said she went to see him. This was not on the phone.
When I go to see him in Rikers, probably one of the more painful parts, seeing him there, the condition that he was in, and having to leave him there.
Cool. So prior to going into Rikers, Tupac already had a girlfriend named Keisha. He proposed to Keisha, her words, in a September 2011 interview. He proposed to Keisha before he even went into prison. They were already engaged. They got married in April. And in the time that he got sentenced and was taken to prison, Keisha actually moved closer to be by him and be by the prison and saw him on a near daily basis.
When he asked me to get married, he was at Rikers.
So you're telling me that in the 3 to 4 week window that he was at Rikers, engaged to another woman who had moved closer to the prison and was there almost every day, Tupac proposed to Jada. But hey, Jess, you might be saying to yourself, Tupac wasn't known to be a one-woman man. He was no angel. Fair enough. Let's see where Jada was during February of 1995, which was, as we've already established, the only time she would have been able to see Tupac at Rikers since he was only there for less than a month. You see, Jada had already met Will Smith in 1994 on the set of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but Will Smith was married, and so nothing happened between them. But in February of 1995, Will Smith was served divorce papers by his wife. 5 days later, on February 19th, Will called Jada and said, "Are you single?" And she said, "Yep." Will said, "We're together now." Jada said, "Cool." And she immediately flew to LA. She flew so immediately that when he called her, she was in Maryland at a brand new house she bought. And she never spent a single night in her new house. That's how immediately she flew to LA. When, in all that time, did you visit Tupac at Rikers and get this fucking proposal? And for the record, Keisha and Tupac stayed married for about 10 months. They got their marriage annulled about 4 or 5 months after Tupac was released from prison. He was bailed out by Suge Knight. It wasn't long after that that he met Kidada Jones. Kidada Jones is the daughter of legendary Quincy Jones. Kidada looks a little recognizable. You may know her sister, Rashida Jones, who played Karen on The Office. Kidada and Tupac were living together and engaged when Tupac was shot and killed. Kidada was the one that was there with him at the hospital the night he died. Kidada was handed his bloody clothes. She was the one who told him, "We all love you," before he slipped into a coma and never woke up. Keisha spoke with Tupac several days before he died because even though their marriage was annulled, they still remained good friends. And I can't help but notice that all of the women who are actually part of his life in a meaningful way are the ones that have just kept quiet. They've kept silent. They've kept their memories to themselves and not tried to use a dead man as their limelight. And the person who's squawking about him the most is making claims that can't even be verified and don't make sense from the perspective of a verifiable timeline.
So many people in that position don't have support.
Right.
None at all.
None. You know.
And he got the best.
He did get the best, but not from Jada, because per Will Smith's own words, that him and Jada were pretty much humping all over the world. They were traveling constantly from the first 3 months they were together, all over the world. So Tupac did get some great support, I imagine, from his wife, who moved closer to be with him and visited him every day. And why do I care? Because I'm Gen X. And like any good Gen X person, I grew up on Tupac. We all remember this going down. We all remember where we were when we heard that Tupac got shot or that he died. We all had this fucking hat from Poetic Justice. We're all just sitting here watching Jada spout these lies being like, do you think no one remembers? Because we all remember. Pepperidge Farm remembers, Jada.